Aloha, everyone. All right, thank you. Before we get started with everything, I'm going to hand it over to Taylor with the Kahala Hotel and Resorts to give just a little welcome. Then I'll give a presentation, and then we will kick it off to the very stressed out table.
Thank you all so much for coming. I just wanted to introduce myself, the program that I'm representing. So I work for the KISCA program here at the hotel, which stands for the Kahala Initiative for Sustainability, Culture, and the Arts. And so a really cool thing about this hotel is the KISCA program. And so we work with different nonprofits in the area. We work with cultural practitioners, and we support local and native artists as well. We're able to do this program through guest-funded donations, so guests that stay here donate to the KISCA program, and we use all those funds to go back into all the different stuff that we do. So we host activities daily, we host cultural workshops, sustainability education programs. We also host larger events that happen once a month. An event that's really similar to this style is our Sunset Seminars. All of our programs are complimentary to guests and community members. If you guys are interested in learning about it, when you guys signed up for this, Alex took some of your information. If you asked to be updated about our programs that are similar, you'll be getting emails from me with our newsletter. If you have not opted into that, please feel free to visit our website. And if you look for our Sustainability and Culture tab or the KISCA page, you can see our newsletter. Other than that, I just want to remind you guys that if you did not get parking validations on your valet or self-parking tickets, please see us before you leave. Do not pay for parking. If you get to the stand and you're trying to pay and it's not working, just tell security that you were at this event with KISCA. After that, I just have nothing else to say. I'll give it back. Thank you so much for coming.
Aloha, everyone. I'm going to give just a little bit of background on the organization, how the internship program fits with how we operate, and then I'm going to hand it over for them for why you were all here to hear what they've been able to do for the past couple of weeks. Thank you all so much for coming here. We really do appreciate this. All of you are a major part of us being able to undertake this work, whether you donate with us, whether you volunteer with us, or whether you're a parent of one of these people. So we really appreciate all your support. And one thing to state quickly for the interns, as you guys go forward and start working in places, especially if you work in nonprofits, this isn't normal. You normally don't do big sushi spreads. You're normally not going to have the ocean. If you go forward and start working in a place and you're cranky that the cheese spread isn't up to snuff, don't expect that. The reason we can do this is because of the Kahala Hotel and Resort. So for all of us, thank you guys so much for a couple years ago, we were doing these presentations, we were joking about it. We were doing it in the spare bedroom of my house. And so I think they right now will probably prefer that the only audience was my dog. But we really do appreciate from the Kahala, you guys have really taken on a much stronger leadership role in the community and partnering with organizations like ours and making stuff like this possible, because there's no way we could do this otherwise. So again, mahalo, you guys. So to get into this, see if this works properly.
Press the down button.
That would help. All right. So to kick it off, does everyone know what this is? Maunalua Bay. Okay, so the history of the organization, back in about 2005, there was a hui of longtime residents who grew up in the area. They got together and they looked around and they realized that the bay that they'd grown up on was not the same as what they remembered. It was degraded and there was no organization focused on restoring it. And they were afraid that if no one did, it would just continue to degrade until there was basically nothing left from what they remembered. And so they founded Mālama Maunalua with the mission of returning basically clean water, abundant life, and the community taking on responsibility for helping keep the bay clean. And so shortly after that, in trying to understand what it was we needed to do to repair the bay, they created what was called the Conservation Action Plan. And what this is you bring together the experts, the people who've lived in the region for a long time, researchers, managers, and say, what is it that is the problem with the bay and what can we do to repair it? And so there was three things they came up with. One was invasive alien algae, another was overutilization of the resource, and the third was stormwater runoff. And here are what we can do to address those. And so every year since, we've been looking at that conservation action plan and seeing how we can tackle some of those threats that have come up. And so what that means is each year we come up with a list of projects that are either continuations of projects that have been successful or are ripe and are able for us to take now that we need to hit while the iron is hot. And so we take that list and we go around to the various staff and say, okay, who on staff can take on these various projects? And so, as you might expect, we may have a list of 20 projects that we need to take on, but we only have capabilities of taking on 10, which leaves with us a gap of projects that we consider important for bay restoration that we don't have the staff power to be able to undertake. And so that is where the interns come in. So the projects you're going to hear them present on tonight are ones that we have deemed critically important for us to be able to undertake to restore the health of the bay. And that's one of the things that I think is really neat about our internship project is that they're taking on projects that we wanted to take on ourselves when we didn't have the capacity to do. So they're taking on real world projects. When they take it on, they have to come up with a project plan. And then we mentor them literally daily and the very minimum weekly of how things are going. This is how you would implement a project like this. This is how you do this research, whatever it may be. And so at the end of their internship, kind of the last lesson is how you give presentations, how you present what it is you've been doing to an audience. And so you're also going to hear a little bit about what they did, which is their main project, but in no way is that the culmination of what they did, because they have been working with partners, they've been volunteering at different organizations. There is a ton of stuff they've done that you're not going to hear about tonight because it wasn't necessarily the focus of their project. So the intern impacts, they've worked 800 fieldwork hours, they've led 1,080 volunteers, they removed over 10,000 pounds of invasive algae, restored 1,700 acres, or 1,700 square meters, and then 30 volunteer events that have gone out and helped us provide outreach and education to the community. So it's really an incredible amount of work that they've done beyond what you're going to hear tonight. So with that, I also want to give a big mahalo. I kind of mentioned it at the start, for all of you for donating, for volunteering, for supporting us in various ways. We really, really appreciate it. None of this would be possible if it weren't for all of you guys. So mahalo for that, and also for all of the staff and partners that have helped mentor them, and in particular, Alex Alo, who is the person who brought the interns in, mentored them closely, found partners for them to work with. So a big mahalo to Alex as well as everyone else that has been a part of this. So yes, please. And so with that, you guys ready? All right, Mary, you're up first.
All right, I'm gonna get started because there's like 7 of us. So, my name is Mary Balbin. I was an education and outreach intern with Summer Mālama Maunalua this summer. A little bit about me: I was born and raised in Eversole, which is an island of Luzon in the Philippines. I'm an undergrad student currently at the University of Hawaii at Manoa, and I'm expected to graduate in the spring of next year with a Bachelor's of Science in Natural Resources and Environmental Management, with a specialization in wildlife ecology management. I've always wanted to work in habitat restoration due to the environment that I grew up in. It was urbanization and just transforming environments, which led me to Mālama Maunalua. It's going to be furthering my career in environmental management, so I'm very excited about it. So this is an overview of what I'm going to be talking about today. I'm going to tell you about the importance of education and outreach, our outreach efforts that I've done throughout the summer, and the chunk of my project, which is a fundraising effort, collaborating with local businesses on Oahu, and the next steps. So why is this work important? Education and outreach is crucial for a nonprofit like Mālama Maunalua, particularly when working with communities that might be geographically distant from the bay, like which is where I reside. It is far from Maunalua Bay, but it's important to engage them because awareness can lead to broader support. Effective outreach could also help build partnerships with other local organizations, businesses, and even community groups. These collabs are essential for amplifying our mission of restoring the bay. And networking also helps Mālama Maunalua leverage resources, share expertise, and coordinate fundraising efforts, which is super helpful to our nonprofit when it comes to funding future projects and even our internship program. Education also helps people understand how their actions, even if indirect, can impact distant ecosystems. When people see the tangible benefits of their involvement and understand the role they play in larger conservation efforts, they're more likely to commit to supporting our mission. So these are some of the education and outreach efforts I've done throughout the summer. I did a few tabling events here at the Kahala Hotel, actually, with the World Oceans Day as well as a surf film premiere. We also did a KP Day at Sea Life Park, as well as 3 days at the Hawaii Conservation Conference. So through those events, we reached over 500 individuals and got to tell them about our mission and also got to tell them how to volunteer. Another thing I did this summer is our internship brochure. Hopefully this will be shown to other people like myself and my cohort and influence them to do what we did this summer. So the main project that I did this summer is partnering with Hanakoa, which is a local brewery in Kaka'ako, to create our first charity beer, Paiko Pale Ale. Not only will 10% of the beer sales be donated to Mālama Maunalua, it will also be canned in these cans right here to the right. We will have our own logo here as well as our mission statement in the back and telling about our projects. Yeah. Ale will not only be sold in Kaka'ako and Hanakoa, it's also sold at restaurants and other shops throughout the island. From Kahuku Beer Garden in the North Shore to Monkey Pod and Waikiki, it will reach a demographic that otherwise would probably never hear about Mālama Maunalua. So, yeah. With the debut of our beer, I'm also going to be organizing a community cookie event. As you guys have heard before, is when we go out into the bay and pull out some of the invasive algae. That's going to happen the same day of the beer release. I will be taking RSVPs through an Eventbrite link that I will be sharing at the end of this month. It will be open to everyone, and everyone who RSVPs will be entered into a raffle, which will include giveaways from multiple businesses that I'll be mentioning in the next slide. But the winners will then be announced at Hanakoa at a Palpana event that I'm hosting. And it'll include live music, the debut of Paiko Pale Ale, and also we're going to have like an education and outreach booth. So everybody that comes in that day will hear about our mission as well. So throughout this project, I was able to spread Mālama Maunalua's mission, not just through Hanakoa, but also through other local businesses. Like Brent Clem, sorry, I don't know why the font transferred this way, but Brent Clem from Weecon Surfboards is graciously allowing me to design a surfboard that will have Mālama Maunalua logo on it as part of our giveaway. So, you would be so kind to attend my event, you'll have the opportunity to win it. The process of the surfboard production, I will be recording it and using it to advertise on social media outlets, not just on our accounts, but also through his account, which will reach another community, which are surfers. So even more people will hear that. So another cool prize you could win is a discovery dive with Dylan Brown from Ocean Alliance Project. So if you have ever been interested in diving, this would be a great opportunity to have a chance to win a discovery dive. So thank you for that, Dylan. Other businesses that have graciously donated to my giveaway are Patagonia and Hydro Flask. And I also wanted to mention other businesses in Kaka'ako like Moku Kitchen, Village Shop Room, and Pio Gym. They have all agreed not only to advertise my fundraising events, but also will motivate their staff to come out on our cookie. Yeah. This is a little timeline of how my project is going to go. In a few weeks, I will be producing the surfboard. And then August 28th, the Mālama Maunalua staff will be coming with me to Hanakoa Brewery to brew our beer. And then late August and September, I will start advertising it. You guys will probably all get the RSVP link, so make sure you save the date. And I'm also going to be producing merchandise with Hanakoa. I'm going to be making beach towels with Mālama Maunalua's logo on it. And also 10% of those proceeds will be going to Mālama Maunalua as well. So to wrap things up, I just want to talk about the benefits that this internship has given me. I got to work alongside longtime members of our community on regional marine and terrestrial resource issues. I got to learn so much about Hawaiian culture, about Hawaiian flora and fauna that I otherwise would have never known about. I got to visit field sites with partnering organizations like KK Plow, Kupahana, Kualoa, and I just overall had such a fun summer. So thank you guys for coming in today and listening to us talk. I just wanted to say thank you to all these people. So yeah, Alex, Laura, the rest of the Mālama Maunalua staff and our cohort this summer.
Yes.
When should we go to the pier?
So September 20th. So I will be sending out this link right here, September 20th, okay? There's gonna be a hooky event in the morning at 9 a.m. and then we're gonna all meet at Hanakoa at around 4 p.m. Yeah. Okay. I'll send you a link personally. Anyone else? Thank you guys. Now it is Skye Eversole's turn.
Aloha, everyone. I want to thank you all for being here tonight. My name is Skye Eversole. I was one of Mālama Maunalua's interns this summer, and I'm really excited to share with all of you my project, implementing green fins to improve coral and marine health in Maunalua Bay. So I was born and raised on the south shore of Oahu, and I'm currently attending Cal Poly in San Luis Obispo. I'll be going into my third year studying environmental management and protection. And I grew up surfing and paddling in Maunalua Bay, which is really what inspired me to pursue a career in environmental protection and want to give back to the Bay through this internship. Maunalua Bay is one of the 5 largest bays in the Hawaiian Islands, and in recent years we've seen fish and coral populations decreasing. We've seen healthy reef habitat decline, polluted water quality, and this bleached coral is an example of this decrease in health. All of this is caused by the land use changes, such as the clearing of large areas of vegetation, as well as stormwater runoff. Another impact are the 20 dive sites that are visited daily in Maunalua Bay by dive operators. So Green Fins is the world's first independent certificate to stop the environmental impact of marine-based tourism on coral reefs. It was developed by the Reef World Foundation and the UN Environmental Program. Membership includes an introduction to coral reef biology. It describes some global and local threats to the marine environment. It teaches you how to prepare, plan, and conduct an environmentally friendly dive trip, as well as helps create demand for sustainable services in the industry. Developing this project required drawing from a lot of different sources, such as NOAA and Blue Star. I also had to evaluate Green Fins as a company and do a lot of research on their benefits. This included interviewing existing Green Fin certified dive centers, which are these 3 down here. They're all located on the Big Island. I also consulted with some of the lead staff from Green Fins, and that helped me to assess Mālama Maunalua's use of Green Fins. Certification can be achieved in person or online, depending on your access. So in-person certification includes benefits like in-person environmental consulting and being listed at the top of the Green Fins website. Both of the certifications will enhance your listing on booking platforms. It'll help you attract more customers, provides you with environmental solutions and action plans with set goals. You'll have access to the community forum to discuss environmental issues and share ideas. And it helps you collect more eco-minded customers. There are 3 tiers of membership. You can achieve gold, silver, or bronze status. And the score is based on the Greenfin's Code of Conduct, which includes recommendations for conducting sustainable dive trips. And a lower score would typically indicate a lower environmental impact. So this project can help us reduce dive-related coral damages and protect the bay by following the marine regulations that the Greenfin's Code of Conduct provides. For example, number 9 states, prevent toxic chemicals from entering the ocean. So this project will overall just protect our bay through tourism education. Specific benefits to Mālama Maunalua include access to the community forum where you can discuss environmental issues with NGOs, government and industry partners, and like-minded operators from all over the world. Code of Conduct number 7 states, take part in regular marine life monitoring and report the data to an active database. And this could help benefit our Maunalua Bay data. The results of this project include an infographic that I developed to target dive operators in Maunalua Bay. And it includes a description of greenfins and then some of the benefits involved, as well as how these operators can get involved. And I really wanted to tailor the code of conduct to Maunalua Bay. So I added some specific details that could help tourists learn more about the bay. This included identifying specific ecosystems and key marine habitats, identifying vulnerable species, and the cultural significance the bay holds, as well as evaluating the environmental impact that dive operators have on the bay. So there's a lot of future to this project due to this being the first summer that it has been implemented. So I think communication with Greenfins to gain more knowledge on implementation is definitely one of the first steps. And from there, we can hopefully reach out to operators in Maunalua Bay and train them on how they can conduct these ocean-friendly dive trips through the implementation of the Code of Conduct. And lastly, we could provide them with follow-up services that would help them get involved with local projects such as our events. This internship impacted me way more than just gaining skills. I was able to talk to so many amazing people and gain knowledge through real-world experience. I think we all really learned how to work together and act as a team. And I definitely expanded my knowledge of environmental species, especially in Maunalua Bay. I improved my public speaking skills, and I'm now able to reach a larger age range through outreach. I definitely improved my communication and collaboration skills as well. I want to give a big thank you to everybody that supported me this summer. I want to thank Pam for being a great mentor. I want to thank Alex for providing us with so much support. And I want to thank Doug, Laura, and Dan for being such great staff, as well as Ralph for providing us with so much insight during our peak events. And lastly, I want to thank all the other interns for making this such an impactful summer. Mahalo, and thank you all for listening.
What's in it for the operators? What's going to appeal to them?
Let me pull up the benefits. Yeah. So greenfins. So the infographic that I made, it lists just a bullet point of some of the benefits to the dive operators. So Greenfins has a website where it lists all the dive operators that have implemented this program. And so that would help them gain more customers and just kind of be out there more. There's also, you have the community forum, which you can talk to a lot of other programs and other dive operators around the world. And overall, it really just helps protect our coral reefs, which all the dive operators really depend on for their tourism.
So you think you'll get some?
Hopefully, hopefully this infographic works. Yes.
So what has been their reaction to the dive operators?
So far, I've only reached out to dive operators that have already implemented the project. I think definitely if you have customers that are eco-minded and really want to be aware of which sustainable companies they're trying to, go on a dive tour with, then that would be really beneficial to them because they can say, oh, we have this green status. It's kind of like a green status thing.
What's one or two examples of those operators who do not join the code of conduct? In other words, what causes problems from diving?
Lessons, problems.
Runoff is a little easier to understand.
Oh, yeah.
Guys going diving, what is it? What damage are they doing?
Yeah, so in the code of conduct, it states just a couple things. I have- Well, a specific example would be they have like the toxic chemicals thing for like sunscreen. So basically all the tourists that like go on their dive boats, they would just be giving them a rundown of this code of conduct and kind of educating them on how they can become more reef safe. So like sunscreen, like obviously not no like oxybenzone kind of stuff, and being aware of where you're stepping. We conduct some coral surveys and we're always really aware that we're not stepping on the like bright and colorful corals because those are typically alive. So those are just like some specific examples.
Aloha, how's it going? Thanks for coming to listen to my fish talk today. My name is Matthew Ikeda, and I'm another one of the 7 fabulous interns this summer. I was born and raised in Maunalua Bay and attended Pu'u School where I graduated this year, so actually kind of young. Next month, I will be attending Santa Clara University to study business. The biggest reason I decided to pursue this internship were my fishing experiences. I fished in Maunalua Bay as long as I can remember. I've personally seen the decline that's impacting our region through the hundreds of hours I've spent in the day. The picture up there was my very first fish I caught at 9 years old. And the picture below was an ordeal I caught more recently, also at Pu'u-Robinson. I feel very connected to Maunalua Bay, and so I'm very grateful that this internship has given me the opportunity to do some good for a place that means so much to me. A little bit more about my fishing experiences. I own a fishing business. I've participated in the PIFG Agate project, and I've also written articles for Moriya and for Nearshore. My project was a community-based aspect of the Maunalua Bay Fisheries Management Area, or the Maunalua Bay FMA. This is a movement that has been in the works for the last 7 years by fishers, Mālama Maunalua, and other agencies. The FMA will ban the tip of sliver lobster, spiny lobster, 7-11 crab, and 2 species of sea snails, all of which are depleted in the bay. In addition, FMA will ban spearfishing at night between the hours of 6 p.m. and 6 a.m. This ban aims to protect species like Limu, lobster, Limu crawling fish, and other reef fish that are vulnerable at night. But why is this important? In case you're wondering why it's important, here are 2 surveys done by NOAA and a nature conservancy. The survey shows that Maunalua Bay actually has the lowest fish biomass of anywhere in the Hawaiian Islands. You can see that the first 3 bars of Maunalua Bay. Obviously, this is a huge problem. FMA will formally designate the bay as a management zone, which is important for future resource management. Moving on to my project. The goal of my project was to gather new, quantifiable information of fishers' opinions on FMA. At young age, it's advantageous because even though Mālama Maunalua has worked with fishers, I'm the first under like generally the age 30 or so, and it's important that we reach the younger generation. My hope is to gather data that can be used to inform future FMA decisions, but I was unsure how to approach this problem at first. I started off with interviews, but I quickly realized it was too time-consuming, so I decided to pivot. So the solution was a survey, which eliminated the need for interviews and was easy to distribute on social media, which is how I kind of shared information out. It was posted on both my personal and Mālama Maunalua's page. The survey received 30 respondents between the ages of 17 and 72, and yielded a very even distribution of fisher types, which was a welcome surprise. Half the respondents were under the age of 37, which shows that the target age was reached. First, fishers were asked about the general health of Maunalua Bay. As you can see, not one person answered that the health is great, which shows that public opinion matches the science behind the fisheries. Fishers were then asked to name the most improved species in the bay. A target species of ulu, goatfish, and lobster showed up, but it was ultimately Tokyo and Ongio that topped the list, which aren't in the FMA plan. Fishers were also asked for the reason behind this decline. When asked about the health of our target species, lobster and crab received a low rating of 1.9 out of 5, and ulu, kala, and goatfish received a rating of 2.3 out of 5. Both indicate less than ideal health. When asked to rate support for the bans, they received ratings of 7.3 and 7.9 out of 10, which indicates general support for both. Overall, 53% of fishers support the FMA as a whole, and 55% would go further and increase regulations on reef fish. When asked if the FMA would threaten their ability to use the bay, only 6 people, or 20%, said that it would. However, only 1 of the 6 is a spearfisher, which doesn't make sense. Lobsters and crab are only caught by divers, and the night diving ban only applies to spearfishers. Enforcement and regulations was also another huge concern. Only 1 of 30 fishers agree that current enforcement is. Only 1 of 30 fishers agree that enforcement is sufficient. I would agree. Also, the majority of fishers are also skeptical or have no confidence that the FMA will be match successful. And when asked why, 18 of 21 cite these enforcement problems. Representation is also another issue, as only 2 out of 30 fishers say that the community is involved adequately in fisheries management. In the end, my hypothesis was not supported. I believe that because FMA would only exclusively affect spearfishers, and spearfishers would be the main opposition. This was not backed up by the survey. In reality, only 1 of 7 spearfishers opposed FMA, with 2 even supporting it. And I dove deeper into the types of fishers that didn't support the FMA, and I found that there was actually no correlation between the type of fisher and support of the FMA. However, what the survey does tell us is that there is a very strong correlation between support of the FMA and trust in environmental organizations. As you can see from the graphs, trust in environmental organizations pretty much determines a person's support for the FMA, even though they just make up 1 component of this project. So what's next? First, enforcement is a really big problem that needs to be addressed before anything else. Again, only 1 of 30 agree that enforcement is sufficient, and this lack of enforcement might be why the FMA is needed in the first place. This is not a simple problem, but the FMA won't succeed without any change in enforcement. Next, we need to gain the trust of fishers. Fishermen want change but are wary of where it comes from, which is something that I saw time and time again. Many got aggravated when I approached them, and some people I know well refused to take the survey because of what it was associated with. As you can see from the results, trust pretty much determines support, and that trust will determine the success of the FMA as a whole, which will require a healthy relationship between fishers, government organizations, and environmental organizations. Lastly, a common thread in the survey was a lack of representation for fishers. One solution that was consistently mentioned was a fisher-based data collection system with some kind of incentive. JAR will do fish surveys, but additional helpful information will come from fishers themselves, and such a system will help to determine the success of the FMA and Maunalua Bay over time. I'd like to thank Doug as my mentor for all this help in my project, Alex for taking all these photos and for being really a great person. All the staff for their support throughout the weeks. I'd like to shout out my crew for all the fun times, and anyone else for any way that you support me and our team. I've learned so much this summer, and I'm very grateful for this special opportunity. So that's pretty much it. And here's some more pictures of our summer. And if anyone has any questions, feel free to ask.
There's an ignorant question. What are whipping and ducking?
Oh, sorry. Whipping is like primarily using lures, like lures, and dumping is using the bait.
So you said their support depended on whether or not they trusted
Yes.
the organization. So what organizations do they trust?
Not phrase as like a big question, but I kind of just wanted to know like Lama Maunalua. I know that there's a lot of fishers out there that don't like Lama Maunalua, and that's why they don't really want to work with this FMA. That's why they don't trust it. You can really see the difference. Like there's people people that trust them more, there's no non-supporters, and for the people that trust them less, there's no supporters. So you can really see how much it makes a difference. I'm not sure.
What do you think about DLMI?
I actually had a separate question on that, and I compared Mālama Maunalua to DNLR, and I asked them to rate out of 10. Mālama Maunalua received a rating of 6.7 out of 10 in terms of trust, and DNLR received 5.2 out of 10. So it shows they trust Mālama Maunalua more than DNLR.
But not much.
So one of the things that you mentioned was this skepticism on monitoring the plan. Do you have an opinion on what a good solution to that might be at this point?
Well, I think that the biggest part of the enforcement for this plan would be the night driving, but if you could have like an officer going around looking at the areas, because you can see the lights in the water when they're night driving, yeah, that's the biggest part of this plan. And that's something that I think they're looking at, right? Like the Matai watch in the past.
So you know these people, a lot of them, that are not trusting Mālama Maunalua. What is it that you don't trust about us?
Well, a lot of people that don't trust us is the fly fishers. They really oppose the hooky events, which is they think that we're removing a bunch of habitat for the eel prey, like they fish for eel, right? Fish. And they think that we're removing the crabs and shrimp by removing the mudweed, right? So by removing that, they're saying that we're decreasing the amount of fish they catch because they don't want to come in the shallows. And the fly fishers don't trust us because of, even though we've done some studies that said that we are not removing the birds themselves. Next, please, Melany.
Hello everyone, my name is Melany and my project is the Bridge to Reef implementing green infrastructure and stream monitoring in the Moriya. So a little bit about me. I'm originally from Los Angeles, California. I'm currently a senior at Fisheries University and I graduate next May. And I'm pursuing a degree in environmental studies. And why did I choose Mālama Maunalua? I overall just wanted to expand my passion for environmental conservation and advocacy. So the Bridge to Reef project is a relatively new project for Mālama Maunalua. The idea from Mocha to Makai, from mountain to ocean. The Outplanting system is a native Hawaiian science of managing an area's ecological resources that recognizes the interconnectivity of the different ecosystems within the watershed. Land divisions were traditionally established using the system so that each community had access to resources from mountain to ocean. Driven by these concepts, MMA and its partners and members of the community are currently working to restore the watershed from Bridge to Reef. And this is important because it gives a holistic environmental approach, understanding that everything is connected within each ecosystem and that our actions have direct impacts to further environments downstream. And then for this project, the three main watersheds that are going to be included are the Balbin, Limu, and Pu'u-Robinson, all feeding down to the Maunalua area. So the three subdivisions that I was talking about was the Mocha, the mountain, Hula, the flatlands, and Makai, the ocean. And I'm currently working on different projects to restore and preserve each one of them. My project is going to be focused on the Kula area. In the Kula, we're currently trying to implement boulder basin stream monitoring, devise a stormwater incentive program, and also implement smart yards. So boulder basin monitoring. What is a boulder basin? So a boulder basin is what the city and county has installed at the top of every stream channel to catch sediment from forested areas. As we can see, this over here is going to be the boulder basin, and this is going to be the boulder basin wall. So for the monitoring, we decided to set up a protocol, first ensuring photographs. So one from the west side, from the center, and from the east. We decided to take 2 photographs from each of those areas and include a regular lens and a 0.5 lens. This is an example from the Pu'u-Robinson boulder basin. It recently got cleaned out, so we did get a good picture if there was any sedimentation buildup within the area. The second step is going to be measurements of sedimentation. So we decided to take a measurement from the top of the Boulder Basin wall all the way to the bottom. So on this photo, you can see the marker. We did measure from the top all the way to the bottom to make sure if there was any sedimentation within the area. And this picture over here shows the blockage as well, so we can document that. And then moving on to stream monitoring. Unfortunately, there is only one current running stream within the area. It's going to be the big stream. So for this, we decided to take photos of the area as well, just like the Boulder Basin, and just like the Boulder Basin as well, we decided to take measurements of each channel depth. And why is this important? This is important because it creates a baseline data for the future, so we can improve our best management practices for mitigation. Now moving on, so this is currently happening in our upper watershed, and as we go down through more urban areas, we decided to tackle the stormwater runoff by getting the community involved at home, helping us to mitigate the effects. So the Stormwater Incentive Program is a program that Mālama Maunalua is working in collaboration with other organizations such as Vierra Water, and this is going to be their piloting program. So we're currently trying to figure out what would be the best incentive to incentivize the community to implement green infrastructure, whether it's throughout rebates to grants or direct installation. Now, what is green infrastructure? So green infrastructure reduces and treats stormwater at its source while delivering other environmental benefits. So something like rain catchment systems such as rain barrels, rural pavement, and rain gardens. Now, for the incentive project, I did meet with various different stakeholders who did have different perceptions, budgeted for implementation of green infrastructure, so talked about the caps and the pricing within it, also created a site ranking matrix which allowed us to streamline this process and maximize the effectiveness for implementation, based on a couple of different factors such as annual volume runoff and flood proximity spends. Lastly, I did help with the latest meeting, which just happened on Wednesday. So I'm hoping to plan for future meetings as well. The last component of my project is going to be the smart yards. So a smart yard is a yard that is environmentally conscious and friendly that provides benefits for both the surrounding community and the ecosystem. They focus on implementation of green infrastructure such as what I previously stated before to reduce the stormwater runoff within the area. So the smart yard sign over here is meant to be placed in front of homeowners, residents, showing that they do have some type of green infrastructure installed on their property. And this is to incentivize the surrounding community to get interested and also want to start something at home as well. And then there is going to be a QR code on that side that will lead to the Smart Yard webpage. So I did create a Smart Yard webpage for Mālama Maunalua. It's going to be under the Fisheries tab. So it serves as a resource hub for sustainable yard practices. It'll also talk about events and workshops for the upcoming times. So it serves as a way to get more educated and also serves as a resource. And lastly, the next steps. So for this project, I feel like continuously monitoring streams and also is essential to help with best management practices for the future. Also, further developing the incentive program and for it to get implemented as soon as we can. And also helping install green infrastructure and distribute the smart yard signs. Overall, this internship has truly been such a great experience. I got to talk to so many people that I wouldn't have any exposure to if I wasn't at Mālama Maunalua. I met so many great people, had so many cool experiences. These are my acknowledgements. I wanted to say thank you to Pam, thank you to Alice, and also to Lauren for Vierra Water that helped me a lot within the incentive program. And also the rest of the Mālama Maunalua staff and all.
Yes.
I put the sign, what do you get for having a smart yard?
Well, you get to help out the community, so you're reducing your stormwater runoff. So a lot of, instead of having like, when it rains, a lot of the water goes straight to the downspout and there's absolutely no mitigation for this. So you're gonna be reducing the source. So a lot of pollution reduction, which overall helps the health of the bay. And you also get a really cool sign. I know you said the sign, but people will be like, I want one too. And you look extra cool. Like you're helping not only your community, but also the surrounding.
What's the city council would give us a tax credit? Sandy, you think city council would give us a tax credit if we have smart yards?
Did you talk to any of the contractors, the landscaping contractors around?
Yes, I did get
Can you
to-
interest them?
Yes, so when we did post that meeting, we had 2 meetings while I was part of this. So the first one, we had a lot of different stakeholders, almost about 18 people showed up, and there was a contractor, and it was interesting to see how our outreach efforts did like bring in a lot of different people from different perspectives, and they were very interested in working with the industry of green infrastructure. And they were really willing to talk about pricing, talk about the logistics, talk about the scheduling. So yeah, it did move at
Okay, good.
I'm sorry to ask again, but, so you did Coolio and Niu, but then you also looked at, I was just curious, the difference between one that's natural and one that was man-made, or two that were made.
Yeah, they were all very different, I would say. I would say the biggest difference was being in Guadalupe because, like I said, it's the only running stream, and seeing like just what they look like. I wish I should know about those, but the difference, Guadalupe had a lot more vegetation and there was a lot more life. I don't know if in the future we do some type of water quality testing within the area, but there was like a lot of frogs, there was a lot of running water. It was very different compared to the areas that had no water. So, and when we're talking about sedimentation alone, I think the areas that were at these larger boulder basins, these larger ones instead of the smaller ones, had a lot more like built up within these areas that are supposed to allow water flow. So it's interesting. Thank you. And then on next, I'm going to read this to you.
Right.
Hello.
Where's the,
I got you.
yeah, that's, you're not gonna
Get
get
you.
Check.
There you go.
Please excuse me if I look to my left, my notes are to my left. Hello, my name is Moriya, and my project for the summer was conducting coral reef monitoring throughout Maunalua Bay. So a little bit about me. I was born in Sendai, Japan, and raised here on the island of Oahu. I did a first year at Kapiolani Community College studying natural science with a concentration in biological sciences and sustainability. So the reason why I wanted to intern with Mālama Maunalua was to gain hands-on experience out in the field, as well as familiarize myself with various forms of restoration work. So, why is coral reef monitoring important? Coral reefs are one of the most vital ecosystems on our planet. They provide coastal protection for from storms, as well as heavy wave activity, and they also house over 25% of life. However, they're slowly declining due to threats like bleaching from climate change, pollution, as well as human degradation. Given their importance, we need to work towards protecting and preserving this ecosystem, which also aligns with our mission at Mālama Maunalua. To prepare for our monitoring sessions, we actually organized a community training day where we successfully trained 12 community members to help them familiarize themselves with our monitoring protocol. So this is our approach that has been successful for our previous surveys. Our ideal transit line is structured in this way with a specific role for each person. We have a 5-minute timer to conduct our transit lines, with fish surveyors in the very front, someone taking photos of benthos in the middle, and our coral surveyors in the very back. So these are some of the tools that we use to assess their surveys. This is a COA card developed by the Hawaii Institute of Marine Biology. It was developed and designed to assess coral bleaching. We also cover species identification, creating an emphasis on native and target species, as well as invasive ones. Additionally, we use GoPros to capture images of the ocean floor to analyze benthic coverage. These are some of the locations that we monitored. We were able to survey 4 sites from Black Point, Hunakai, Koloa, and Wailupe. We covered over 1,376 meters with 15 transit lines. So now that you have a little bit of an overview of our methods and tools, I'll be going over our results, starting with the COA assessment. So just to give you guys a little heads up, there are quite a few graphs in the next few slides, but I'm just going to be guiding you through the key points. So this data is organized by location. We have Wailupe being represented with blue, Koloa red, Hunakai green, and Black Point being yellow. To read the graph, across all 4 sites we surveyed, most corals were recorded with a color rating of 15, with Black Point being the highest count, contributing to over half of these observations. The 4 colors on the very left represent the most common coral colors found at all sites. So what do these colors mean? These graphs give a more in-depth look at the data from the previous slide, focusing on coral species diversity based on shape. So the yellow will be our branching corals, the purple will be the mounding corals, and the blue indicates our cresting corals. The swatches on the very right of the chart are going to be a quick overview of the most common colors for each coral morphology or organized by site. Understanding this data will allow us to assess trends of coral health throughout time. When we revisit these sites in the future, we can assess whether corals are becoming lighter or darker. Trends toward lighter colors could indicate bleaching, while stable or darker colors could indicate that the reefs are healthier. These locations can be ideal candidates for outplanting and help ensure the long-term sustainability of our coral reef restoration efforts. Next up, species abundance, richness, and biodiversity. As for species abundance, Koloa had the highest count, with over 560 individuals recorded. Wrasse, kole, or yellow-eyed tangs, uhu, or parrotfish, and manini, or convict tangs, were our most abundant species. For biodiversity and species richness, Koloa and Hunakai had the highest count, both with 13 species. Wailupe followed closely behind with 9, and Black Point had 6. Next up is going to be our results on benthic assessment. This is the last thing that we surveyed. All of these photos that we took on our transit lines were uploaded to CoralNet, which is a website or tool used to analyze ocean floor images. It uses advanced computer programs to automatically or semi-automatically label and organize these images. I was able to upload 600 photos from our transit lines to our existing database. So, based on all of the data that we collected, Koloa exhibited the highest species abundance. Notably, we observed minimal signs of coral bleaching, indicating relatively healthy reef ecosystems at the sites that we surveyed. 3 particularly abundant fish, arcole, manini, and uhu, were among our target species due to their status as native or state regulated, and their abundance is a positive indicator of species diversity and reef health, suggesting a promising outlook for the stability of the coral reef ecosystems in this region. As for our next steps, we should continue to conduct our coral monitoring events, as well as focus on engaging our community. We can also implement independent data collection, where we have trained community members go out into the field while we provide the necessary equipment. I think also extending the duration of our experiments could improve fish identification by allowing for more time for us to learn about fish species. I also did just want to mention that we have another coral training day on August 17th. If you're interested, please see me later for details. And the last thing I did to engage the community was to try and reach a different audience. So with my background in the Japanese language, I was able to translate a bunch of Mālama Maunalua outreach material, and this is a small portion of what I had worked on. I'm still finalizing the Japanese booklet, but I'm hoping to reach the Japanese tourists as well as residents who live in Hawaii who utilize Maunalua Bay or Hawaii's natural resources. With all of that being said, these are some of my internship takeaways. I was able to build valuable connections with multiple organizations and individuals from the conservation community. I gained skills through numerous first-time experiences, such as acquiring research experience with coral and marine science. I was able to immerse myself in Hawaiian culture and gained insight into local conservation practices. And last but not least, I had the privilege of working with my fellow interns, who not only made the experience so much more enjoyable, but also created a strong sense of community. And I just wanted to give a few acknowledgements. My mentors and supervisors, Alex and Pam, as well as the rest of the Mālama Maunalua staff. My fellow interns, Dylan from the Ocean Alliance Project for helping me navigate through CoralNet, as well as the community volunteers that came out to monitor our data. Chris and Natan, thank you all for your support. Robinson.
Hello, everyone. I just want to start off by thanking you guys again for coming out tonight. I know you're being bombarded with a lot of information, a lot of science and talk. Hopefully, I can keep you entertained my presentation, the final one. That being said, my name is Kainalu Pu'u-Robinson. I worked a lot with Limu this summer, and my project is the use of cages and transplanting Limu Moriya Loloa, Eversole, Harper. A little bit about me. I grew up in Wailua, Maui. I currently live in Guam now. I graduated from the University of California, Los Angeles last year with a degree in ecology, behavior, and evolution. And through this internship, I really just gained deepen my understanding of both cultural and research practices in the state of Hawaii, as well as work with a local nonprofit. So why should we care about this project? What is this? What kind of importance does this hold? Native populations were once abundant throughout Maunalua Bay. If you talk to people that grew up in the area, they could tell you that they saw native local growing everywhere, and it was really easy for them to find, and they could make dishes with it for dinner. In the last half decade or so, there have been a lot of issues with primarily introduced invasive algae, as well as over-harvesting and water pollution. And the combination of all these issues have caused the native local population to drastically decline. In the last 15 to 20 years, restoration work done by Mālama Maunalua has cleared out a good chunk of that invasive algae. And now that gives us the opportunity to try to transplant some of the native logo back into the bay. And that brings me to my project, where I aim to further attempts of transplantation down pastures. So this is the logo we're working with. This is Limu Maunalua. It is a red algae native to Hawaii. You can find it on the reef flats and sandy rocky substrates in the Nearshore areas. And if you eat poke, you might recognize it from Limu poke. There have been 2 previous attempts done by interns in previous cohorts. Both of them use the Limu lay technique. So this is where they braid Limu into kind of this rope twine, tie it around a brick and put in the ocean. And what we saw from both attempts were an immediate bleaching, or you could see this change of color from like a darkish red brown to a translucent white. This is possibly an indication of a decreasing health of the Limu. So this is what my project wants to tackle specifically. So before finalizing my project, I consulted some experts. I talked to Mr. Wally Uto, who's the project manager of the Eversole in this project. And he's really one of the best resources on the island about native Limu. I also read up on the last 30 years worth of scientific literature on algae cultivation. And from that, I was inspired to take the ammonia levels of the water. And this leads to my hypothesis. So the cages I will be using for the experiment serve really 2 main purposes. It shelters the Limu from animal grazers, meaning fish can pick at and eat the Limu. And possibly more importantly, it protects it from intense ultraviolet radiation, or it's really harsh sunlight that we get in the bay that we have been associated with the region. The outplanting experiments will be carried out in Pico Beach, which I'm sure all of you are familiar with now, in Maunalua Bay. The star represents the exact spot where the activities report. For choosing the site, we looked at a Mālama Maunalua historical database where native logo possibly resided. And we picked out 30 potential plots, did some preliminary assessments, and from that chose 4 ideal plots for the experiment. And on the day of transplantation, we prepared the Limu. I acquired it from Kainalu's Fisheries Research Center. This is in Santa Island. I gathered a total of 8 pounds of Limu, which is 2 pounds per plot for the 4 plots. This is us setting up the cages with the sandbags to hold down the cages on the left, grading the Limu for the 4 plots on the right. Here's what the Limu looks like wrapped around the bricks. Take note of that picture because it will look different on the next slide. And this is what the cages look like. That's how it looks. This is the final setup. Initial setup of what the experiment looks like. And then on to monitoring. So over the course of the next 4 weeks after transplantation, I took qualitative assessments of the Limu. So I looked at its color. I noticed if it was brown, lightish green, yellow, or white. I took the levels of ammonia in the water surrounding the Limu. And then I also was looking for these little black nodules or cystocarps, which would be an indication that the Limu was reproducing. So as with science, it doesn't always go as planned. This is my control plot, and by the 2nd week, the Limu had already fallen off the bricks. However, what we can gather from this is that after 1 week, the Limu already started reaching outside of the cages. This is for the control. And this is a lot of pictures, but if we can just take a look real quickly. This is a progression of how the Limu fared in the bay. As you can see, it started off as like a reddish brown color and then slowly progressively lightened up. These are the final before and after. And before I jump into my results, I'm going to talk about some observations. Firstly, we're just looking at the final results. The Limu looked really like a lighter color and like it's bleached on top. However, when we undid the cages and flipped over the Limu, it actually was a brown color underneath. And some of the Limu exhibited some new growth. We also noticed this really curious brown spot on all the cages. It's kind of scratching my head to what that could be until we examined the outside of the cages and realized that we had these research tags and zip ties on the outside. So that was probably providing some shade for the Limu and keeping it brown color. And then in the control block, we also noticed some Limu recruitment for a baby Limu. And while I can't specifically say that this was because of my experiment or even necessarily the same exact species, it is still exciting to see within the bay. And just a little summary of the experiment. So what we saw is that much of the Limu remained healthy. This was really the goal of the project, was to keep the Limu healthy enough to possibly enter the reproductive stage. While we did not see the nodules visually, that doesn't necessarily mean they were not reproducing. I did measure the ammonia levels, but there were only 3 instances where the levels were not 0, so I would not say that was a significant factor. And last but not least, the shaded areas kept color better. So that's really important for a possible next step. And that would be to add shade cloth. So if you look at this picture on the left, this is actually how the Limu is grown in the fishery. This is where I acquired the Limu. And they get this really fancy treatment. They have this nice shade cloth, they have these nice tanks to grow in. And then when they get transplanted into the real world, into the bay, they go into the shock. So if you maybe had some shade cloth on the cages, that would prevent some of that. Maybe also using a lower starting mass. I said I used 2 pounds per cage, but they got a little stuff in there, and to mimic the free flowing culture of aquaculture tanks in the fishery, a lower starting mass would possibly be better. Our intern, she mentioned how her project included these kind of core color cards. If I had something for my Limu that I could just standardize the color measurements, that would be great. Also, just repeating these experiments in a different season. The summer sees king tides, which creates kind of harsh water level, water current, and sand displacement conditions. And these extreme conditions are not ideal for the Limu to be transplanted and try to maintain its health. And now just the internship takeaways. I really appreciate Mālama Maunalua's holistic approach to conservation, whether I was talking to little kids who knew nothing about what we do to people who are experts in their field. I just had a really well-rounded experience. And then building out some connections with my fellow interns. I really got to know each and one of them very well, and I'm very fortunate for that. And a special mahalo to Mr. Wally of the Outplanting project, who was the legal expert, and my mentor Alex, who really guided me through this project and came out to every survey. The rest of the Mālama Maunalua staff and my fellow. Thank you.
Yes. Okay, like how I imagine the goal is to make it so that they establish. Why don't we do this just to
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, the cages was kind of a hard experiment to measure the success of, just because we wanted the thing to be healthy enough to produce spores and spread out in the bay. So that can go as far as 3 miles. So yeah.
get that safely.
Yeah, not necessarily. It's kind of tough too, because it's not like a plant where it'll, like root in the sand, that kind of just growing rocks anywhere.
Actually, also the fish, so the cage keeps them from eating. I noticed that your cages are very shallow, and in the summertime you get a lot of sunlight. I'm wondering whether or not this would not work better either in the winter or at a deeper depth, so that you don't get as much direct sunlight.
Yeah, definitely.
So maybe another intern segment, different time of year, different depth of water. Those things. Yeah. So have you looked at like so there are I don't know that there's
last question.
You mentioned ammonia as a
concern, what would be the source of ammonia? Why would that be?
Yeah, so the ammonia from the figures I read, could possibly be influenced by the bacteria colonies that grow on the Limu. But since the bacteria is transient, like switch which planets are on every day or week or whatever, it's kind of hard to measure. Last and certainly not least.
Aloha my podcast. Thank you guys for staying with me since I am the last one. My name is Aimee Vierra, and I'm one of the Education and Outreach interns for this year's summer cohort. I'm very excited to share with you guys what I've done, but first, let me share a little bit about myself. I grew up within the Maunalua region and went to Kaiser High School. I now attend Creighton University in Omaha, Nebraska, and I'm currently studying finance on a pre-law track. I applied to this position because I really wanted to introduce MM to a newer audience in a very creative way. I grew up knowing about this organization and was raised within the Bay. I paddled from Kainalu, where I was able to truly witness the beauty of Maunalua. Sitting in the boat and being able to live out the picturesque scene of the crystal blue waters and the beaming hot sun, which we didn't really care about because we were having too much fun. That's when I realized that this was something worth preserving. I witnessed the beauty of the bay, and we want the future generations to also benefit from this treasure that we call Maunalua. However, I felt like there was a break in connection between the younger generation and conservation. My goal was to bridge that gap. Today I'm gonna compress 10 weeks into 5 different points. I'm gonna break down the relevance, opportunities, and importance of education and outreach, my goals and objectives, the usage of social media, MM's presence within the education sphere, and my fundraiser initiative. In good old finance fashion, let's talk about ROI. But instead of return on investment, I'm going to share the relevance, opportunities, and importance of education and outreach. Education and outreach is the bridge between the common people and conservation. It provides Mālama Maunalua with funding opportunities like grants that allows us to continue to foster the sense of community through events like cookies and hanapukoas, and provides a greater resource for things ranging from science to staff. The importance of education and outreach is to sustain the culture of Hawaii by educating the younger generation about why we Mālama Aina. My goal for this 10 weeks was to engage as many people as possible and raise awareness to MM's advances in science, community building, and restoration. To do that, I, 1, implemented a new TikTok initiative, 2, created a comprehensive resource guide for high school students, and 3, compose and design a fundraiser with a local bag brand. So let's get into it. TikTok! TikTok is a social media platform that Mālama Maunalua was not currently on. I wanted to change that to reach a new type of audience and get our name really out there to the general public. But instead of me explaining it to you, let me show you.
You go, girl.
I think I'll take my whiskey leave. My coffee bag in my bed at 3. You're too sweet for me.
The process of creating these outreach videos is quite meticulous if you really break it down. First, I have to gather all the footage of Mālama Maunalua in action doing fieldwork, whether that be in the mountains, in the ocean, doing outreach events, we're everywhere. Then I would have to sift through all that footage and methodically pick up the videos I thought were most captivating, along with pairing it with audio clips, transitions, and photos. Lastly, I would use the software CapCut to splice it all together in a short but visually appealing manner in an educational or a way that tells the story of Mālama Maunalua's mission. I'm beat. However, all that hard work is not in vain. Thankfully, we were able to reach more than 3,800 viewers. That is 3,800 more viewers of a demographic that we did not originally target. Not only were these videos for us to capture audience's attention, but it also shows us that people really do care about what we are doing and how we are making a difference. I wanted to give Mālama Maunalua a more personal feel, as I noticed all our former social media platforms were very professional. And don't get me wrong, but this TikTok is still very professional. However, it kind of shows the fun side of conservation and hopes of attracting a newer audience and share our story in a grander scale. In the future, I would like MM to continue to create content and build a brand reputation on this platform. It could even open us up to monetization, which would be a very lucrative side effect. In the education sphere, I want to target high school students. Like I mentioned, I went to Kaiser, and I noticed a lot of our local students, especially within the Maunalua Bay region, are very disconnected from the land that is in their own backyard. I wanted them to become more involved with the organization, so I created a mentor profile guide students can utilize to contact MM staff, whether it be for opportunities or research projects, and just overall just get reconnected with the land they live on. The biggest challenge I saw as a high schooler is I didn't know where to start. So I created these coral contacts in order to mitigate the challenging and somewhat scary first step of reaching out. Students will have a direct line of contact. It allows them to be very self-sufficient and gives them an immediate answer to many of their questions. I wanted to put the fun back in fundraiser, so I collaborated with one of my favorite brands, Aloha Collection. A quick show of hands, who here knows about Aloha Collection or even has one? Perfect! For those of you who don't know, get with the program. Just kidding. Aloha Collection is a rapidly growing bag brand that, bag brand that is trending. I love the idea of educating with art, so I wanted to create something tangible. Looking back, I was kind of in over my head with this project. There's a huge learning curve, especially with the design aspect. I personally am not an artist, and I never claimed to be, however, I was very excited to take this challenge on. Other than learning the significance of reaching out to a big company where I learned about the expenditures, process, and timeline, I also had to become a pro at drawing overnight, which was crazy. And on top of that, I had to learn how to vectorize, and don't even get me started on that. So all in all, it was quite the process. Fundraising efforts, like I said, are very crucial to MM because they allow us to provide free opportunities to high school students, fund our mission and objectives, and continue to reach a different type of audience. This raises awareness about our organization in order to cultivate a sense of responsibility to care for our home. As a result of reaching out to this company, we are able to collaborate on a new bag design and show people who purchase the bag how they can get more involved in hopes of them truly believing in what we do. So, I chose 6 different types of our Limu to showcase: Halaha, Limu Maunalua, Koa, Spiridia, Inui, and Alani. I also wanted to highlight the woven Limu because, as Kainalu was sharing, we actually do use it to outplant native Limu within our restoration efforts. As you can see right over there, they're sewing it up together. I took this idea, cross-referenced it with my design, and came up with along with all the 6 Limu that I mentioned earlier. This will be on a white bag and it will be purchasable in the near future. Along with TikToks, outreach events, and designs, I was able to participate in 4 different tabling events where I was able to reach over 500 people, while also having a little fun while at it. After all is said and done, I can say with confidence that this is one of the best experiences ever. Aside from learning about the places that I grew up and call home, I was also able to meet a bunch of wonderful people who not only inspire me, but are pretty darn cool. A huge thank you to Alex for sharing your infinite knowledge with us and for caring enough about me to answer my questions at 10 p.m. at night. A big shout out to Laura for supporting my crazy ideas and guiding me throughout this whole process. And thank you to the MM family for listening to my rants and giving me valuable feedback. I can't thank you enough, the summer of 2024 interns, for putting up with me. Y'all are troopers, and I'm going to miss you more than words. And lastly, I'd like to thank Mr. Balaz, who is a former teacher of mine who really inspired me to apply for this position in the first place. And thank you all for watching. And this is basically just the excruciating work that I did.
collection bags be ready before Christmas for Christmas presents?
I'm very sorry, they don't work that fast, but it will be out next year, I'll tell you that much.
Next Christmas, yeah.
Next Christmas.
Yes, next Christmas. So get your calendars ready, it's gonna be good.
Wow.
Thank you. Oh, yeah, go ahead.
So since you're a finance expert,
I'd like to say.
I figured you would. How would you monetize the video and TikTok?
So monetization happens when your brand becomes so big that TikTok can see that. And it's like basically a threshold that we have to break. And in order to do that, we have to make content that's trending, that really gets on like people to, I guess, like want to be a part of it and to click on our profile and to watch our videos. And in order to do that, you have to be very, I'd say, diligent in keeping up with the local trends, sounds, and stuff like that. So, yeah, go ahead. I currently do not, however, I will turn that over to the next cohort that comes after me. Thank you very much.
And with that, we are finished. So again, thank you all for coming out. I hope you had fun. I hope you got to hear a little bit about what they've been doing for the past several months and understand why we were so excited to have them come and present to you, because they've been a really fantastic cohort. They've been a lot of fun to work with. They brought a ton of energy to the office, which is always fun. And so we'll have a couple of weeks of pretty quiet office time, unfortunately. So,
You found the office.
yeah, exactly. So again, thank you all.